Yeah, do your thing, man. I do
Yeah.
not mind. All right, we are going live. You're good, man. Do your thing. I really don't mind whatever you do, to be real.
Okay.
Yeah, I really don't. But we're live, guys. We're gonna make this, relatively quick, because we have another great live stream after this over at Big Pat Sports. If y'all don't know who Big Pat is, I don't know what to tell y'all at this point, man. I mean, dude's incredible. I got Joel with me. We're going to be having Rodney come on in a set. We're waiting for him to come through. Another great Giants fan. I'm going to put in the StreamYard link in the chat. If you guys want to join, you guys can absolutely join. Joel, I appreciate you coming through, man. For real, man. Appreciate it.
Like I said, no problem, my guy. I mean, you're there supporting me. This is the least that I can do is support you.
Hey
You
man, we're
know,
all we're all family here, man. I mean, I really love. We were talking about it yesterday. I really love the Giants community, man. I mean, it's really incredible, man.
right? It really is.
Let's see,
Um,
all right, I'm gonna put this in here in case anybody wants to come through. I just put the link on Twitter, so you guys on Twitter could see it. Because I noticed that's where a lot of people that come through, at least for me, at least come through Twitter.
right.
Um, But I wanted to actually get your thoughts. I've seen, some Giants fans talk about, Isaiah Wilson today. Judge came out and, said that, he sees, a long term plan for this guy, in
Yes.
terms of where he'll be able
Yes.
to help in the future. They feel that, he's made a lot of progress. And if the situation were to arise, and for the opportunity to come as well, they would love to have him on the field. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I mean, would you prefer to see him, at the tackle spot, where maybe Matt Parrott is at the moment, or would you prefer to see him at the guard position? Like, how are you feeling, Joe?
Well, right now, what I'm looking at I'm looking at the way the team started off the year.
Mm,
None of our draft picks really played the first couple of weeks. They got plays, but not a lot of targets. They got like 5, 6 plays, get a little big game film on them. I mean, everyone was complaining, Kadarius Toney, why isn't he out there starting week one?
hmm
Ojolari's supposed to be a really good player. Why? I think Judge has actually learned a lot last year with Andrew Thomas. Hey,
I
Jaden,
I agree.
because if you look at Andrew Thomas, the first 7 weeks, he was just getting smoked. He's going against the best edge rushers the NFL had to offer, and his confidence got lost. So I
Yeah.
think Judge really looked at that and says, you know what? I really need to get these guys ready to play in an NFL game so when they get their shot, they know what to do. They're better prepared. They're more into what the team is trying to do. And I like the way the Ojolari was brought along so that the second half of
hmm
the season is looking like him and Roche are going to be our starters. And then Thomas, because the second half of last year got his confidence back. He was a much better lineman. And then, he knew what he had to work on the offseason. And he was a top 5 tackle this year before he got hurt. Because of
Yeah.
him, Daniel Jones was improving week to week to week to week.
Yeah.
And
I
then he
agree.
goes out, and it's like, oh my goodness, okay. And we're seeing what's going on with the team.
Yeah.
So,
We
with
miss him, man, for real.
Yes, we do. So I like what Judge is doing. The Judge is taking a guy that was 350 pounds a month ago. He's down to 321. He's hanging out with Andrew Thomas, who he was buddies with back in Georgia.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
this guy is a learning process. He had some problems mentally, emotionally, off the field issues, and I like that he's getting a second chance. We all say that we love it when a guy gets a second chance, and he has not played in a while. So of course
Yep.
he's got to relearn his footwork. He's got to learn how to do his punch. He's got to learn how to do his sets. We see all this going on with Nate Solder and what he's doing wrong. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I wouldn't mind a guy getting out there week 13, 14, 15, getting some reps, but not right now.
I'm honestly, I'm there with you. I mean, I don't think honestly we can
D
look
Mac.
at it from a talent. Oh yeah, what's good, D Matt? I don't think that we can, really judge it from a talent perspective, only because I do think the talent is there. He's a big dude, man, and even if you put him, which I wouldn't fully trust it, but I could understand why the Giants would do it. Even if you would have put him in the guard position, that's a big boy
Oh,
right there. And
could you imagine him and Thomas on the left side of the line?
oh, that would be great. That would be great, man. And if you go get a Linderbaum in the draft, oof,
Yes.
man, let me tell you something. That's
And then
that's a
put
huge
and then
improvement.
put Pert at right guard, and then I mean even that tackle from Georgia. Oh my God, 607 pass blocking attempts, 0 sacks.
Yeah, I was just about to say 0 sacks, which hey, look, we got two picks right now in the draft, and I would not be upset at all if either of those picks or both of those picks were offensive linemen at this point. I really
Yes,
would not be upset.
yes, I agree. I like where our defense is. I like where the offense is leading to. I mean, we got the playmakers on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. There are some guys we can get rid of. Now, don't get me wrong, like second, third round, I still would like an edge rusher. Maybe bring along an interior linebacker because we don't know how Martinez is going to come back on that ACL tear. Tay
Yep.
Crowder, to me, is a really good backup, rotational piece, a guy that can go out there and spell a starting linebacker. But as far as Roche and Ojolari, I still don't know if I want them as my number one and number two. I want an edge rusher. I want that
Yeah,
dominant.
I'm there with you. What's going on, Rodney? I appreciate you
Hey,
coming
Hey,
through, man.
Rodney, nice to
hey,
meet
what's
you.
going on, Joe? Nice to meet you. Chris, always a pleasure, man. How's it
Hey,
going?
man, thank you. Hey, we're doing good, man. We're doing good. So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Joel. Prior to us talking about Aziz Ojolari and Quincy Roche, which I do want to go back to that in a sec. We were talking about Isaiah Wilson and where his future could lie on this team. Judge came out and said today that he does see a future with Isaiah Wilson. They believe that he's made great progress, and if the opportunity were to arise, they would like to have him on the field. So I guess would you prefer him at the tackle spot? Would you prefer him at the guard position? Um, where are your thoughts, man, about this whole situation?
I mean, my thoughts with that is you play him at the position that you think he's going to be able to strive at, whether that be at right tackle, whether that be at guard. I mean, as of right now, he's a work in progress. We can all agree on that. He's a work in
Yeah.
progress. He's got a
Yes.
lot of work. He's got a lot ahead of him. A lot of work ahead of him to get himself back into shape. Hopefully he's mentally there,
Hmm.
but he's got a lot. As far as shape wise, he's got to get into shape. You know, I'm actually happy to see this young man getting a second chance, third chance, if you want to call it that, because he had one with Tennessee and Miami. I'm happy to see him getting that chance, given that opportunity, get him in the right situation, and let this young man strive and succeed. You know, a lot of people say, it's a win-win. Either you're not really paying a lot for him, and then let's see what he's got. To me, I want to see what he's got first. I don't care about the money. That's beyond the pale right now as far as what's important. We want to see this young man on the field. We want to see what he can sit there and basically provide for this offensive line. We need help. That's just the bottom line. We need help.
To say the
So,
least.
I'm happy about it. I tweeted about it earlier. I want this young man to succeed. I'm pulling for him. And, as long as they have the faith in him to get him to where he's got to be, I'm all for it. I just
I'm there
anything
with
to
you.
anything to fix this offensive line to give DJ
Yeah.
and Saquon and these, just anything right now because we're
Yes.
struggling badly. We're struggling.
Yeah, and honestly, man, I'm there with you. I'm really for giving people, a second chance. I mean, he's a young kid, man. I mean, he's made some mistakes, but I really do think that if there's any organization that is for giving players a second chance, outside of the Cowboys, it's definitely the Giants. We tend to give players second chances. We didn't really do so well with DeAndre Baker,
Yeah,
which I understand both sides, not wanting to take a chance and wanting to take a chance.
Yep.
But I think the talent is there with Isaiah Wilson. I think that I know some people that don't view him as that first round talent, even though he was taken in the first round. But looking at him, I mean, I thought he was pretty solid at Georgia. I think it is a night and day difference between him and Thomas. But I think if we can get at least an average play out of him, or even Pert, I think that's big for this offensive line because I think anything at this point is better than
Well,
losing.
you know, even if we get back Gates, let's say Gates gets healthy and he can come back, and him next to Thomas, then we get Linderbaum. Let's say Pert works out really good at right guard, and then we get, you know, the stud tackle from Alabama or from Georgia. What if
That
we
would be
Mhm.
return this?
incredible.
What if we turn this kid's career around, give him an opportunity, and get like a third round draft pick for him in a trade? All
That
for
would be
giving this
great.
kid a chance, you know, and then he gets to go on and have a great career. You know, I mean that's something that benefits us and him.
True. I
Absolutely.
mean, hey, I want to see what he can do for us. You
I do
know,
too.
Hmm.
based off of the injury with Gates, that's going to be that. I mean, that right there is devastating loss, and it's going to be a long road ahead for him to come back. You
Yep.
know, and I pray. I think we're all looking forward to having him back and making sure that he
Yes.
does get back.
Yes.
I do not think that they should shy away from the offensive line just because Isaiah Wilson is he's
I I
he's
agree.
a project right now.
Yep.
That's work in progress right there. But don't shy away from the OL.
Right.
Absolutely
Hmm.
not.
Right.
You knew that this was an issue coming in. It's been an issue like this for the better part of a decade now, with a little few outlier years. It's been a problem since 2011,
Yep.
2010. You have to address it, and this is the time you should address it. They had well, I can go on a tangent about last year. I don't want to do it because I was like literally just have my head
Hey Nate.
literally in my hand over the draft picks and them not even picking these studs that are just doing their thing right now. Kendrick Green for Pittsburgh, Trey Smith, KC, Quinn Miners. I mean, all these guys were
Yep.
available for us to pick up. But hey, no, never mind. I want to see what they do as far as being able to get these utilizing these two high draft picks. Hopefully they're not too high, but high enough to where we can get.
Hanging on.
I mean,
Yep.
just those three guys that you named there, Joel. Amazing. Okay,
Yes.
amazing.
It would be huge, man. I mean, and I agree with D Mac's comment right here because just thinking about even if, unfortunately, even if we couldn't get a player back like Gates, picking up a player like Linderbaum, or even looking at our first round pick. I mean, I like I said earlier, I would not be upset if both of those picks went towards the offensive line. It's been way too fucking long, man. I'm sorry. Sorry for my
Yes.
language, but it's been way too long, man. I mean, you're right, Rodney. It's been a decade, man. Like,
Here's another name for you. Here's another name. Don't
talk
mean
to
to
me.
interrupt, Chris.
No, you good.
Do your research on this guy named Trevor Penning. He's an
Trevor
offensive
Penning. I'm gonna
tackle.
write that
Trevor
down.
Penning. He's an offensive tackle for Northern Iowa. Now, I saw a, a clip that somebody posted on Twitter. And I mean, you want to talk about a brawler and a beast? You got to check out this. It's just, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 seconds at the most.
Mm.
But what this kid did, I could just imagine just constantly watching him and seeing what he can do as an offensive tackle.
Oh,
So remember
that
that,
would be great.
remember that name because I did the same thing last year when I was looking at the offensive tackles and this name popped up, Quinn Miners, and I'm like, Quinn Miners, who's
Oh,
this kid?
okay.
And then
Okay.
I started doing my research and I'm watching this kid. I mean, he goes out and he looks for blocks. He looks for it. It doesn't matter. He's gonna get his hands on you and get you out of the way. He looks for it.
And that's
You
what we
know.
need. We need some dogs on this offensive line, and that's what I loved about Nick Gates. That was the one player outside of Will Hernandez on this line that had some fight to him. I mean, I really do think that with Andrew Thomas not being in the lineup, that's one player that we absolutely greatly miss. I mean, if anything, I'm terrified to have him out for another game if that were to happen the rest of the season. I
Oh yeah.
mean, he's really important to this offensive line. And at this point, man, you really have to take care of the offensive line because this past year, the fact that we didn't, and you had Ben Cleveland sitting right there. I mean, come on, man.
You
It's just
can
it's negligence.
you can
It's
run down the
negligence.
names, Chris. You can run
Well,
them down, man. They
It's
were
well,
bad,
there.
man.
hey, let's look at the flip side of this, okay? Because I'm going to throw a name at you guys, and well, that's one in a million. However, it still is. How about Robert Gallery?
Robert Gallery.
He was that left tackle that the Raiders took with like a top 10 pick, and he just did not pan out at all.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You, yeah.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
okay, he was a stud coming out of college, like a true stud, can't miss prospect. They're out there.
It happens, man.
It does happen. So
we went through that too. We went through that when they were hyping up Eric Flowers. Like, okay,
yeah.
Well, the fan base
we played him wrong.
That.
We played him at the wrong position.
Yes.
I think that was one of the main issues.
We
played him at. He's a guard.
Yep.
Yep. And he's been doing solid for Washington. I got to be honest with you. He's been doing solid for Washington, Eric Flowers.
I mean, when they evaluating these guys, if you can see that he's not, living up to the potential of that position, try him at a different one, because majority of these guys can play guard, left tackle, even center. They can switch off, off.
Yes.
Try him at a different position and see how that works.
That's like Pert was going to be practicing at guard until Thomas got hurt.
Yep.
They were going to move him inside.
And he played guard a majority of the snaps in UConn at guard.
2 years, right? He went 2 years at guard. And that, yes.
So I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, it's not really working out at tackle, at least the left tackle spot right now, because he's just getting blown up.
Yep.
And we all can agree that Solder is pretty much that name right there should be erased from the Giants' history books.
I don't know how he's
that guy is
horrible, man.
But I would want to see how he plays now at right tackle.
Yes,
Thomas gets back.
Yes, I would because that's a different position.
He's got the reps in at left tackle. Let's see what he can do at right tackle.
It's got to be better than what we have at Solder.
Exactly.
It's got to be better.
Exactly.
It can't be worse. I mean, honestly, man. How much expectation could we have put on this on that period when they didn't even give him the chance? I mean, they haven't been really giving him the snaps up until this year. He should have been getting the snaps last year.
Well, and then the one game he did go in for Solder because Solder had injury or whatever, he had a really good game at right tackle. He didn't allow 0 pressures, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for a loss. I'm like, damn. All right, he was getting beat, but you know what? He still put up zeros. And it's like, well, Solder's getting freaking 3 sacks a game. But because Solder did so well in the run game, you know who's going to start.
I was just going to say that.
That's the issue right there. EZ3 said it best. Need to invest in the OL and the defensive line.
That's why I've been having it up right there.
Heavily have to invest in that. This year more than anything, and I don't want to sit there and say that, we should, forget about the edge position because we got 2 studs right now. I mean,
well,
granted, there's only been, a sample size of a few games, but I'm telling you.
Well,
Aziz Ojulari and what Quincy Roche are doing as rookies right now.
It's impressive.
We thought the same thing about Zimenez and Carter, though. I don't want to go. I don't want to go down that road again. And it's like, because I think Roche is going to be that perfect piece that if we got that stud pass rusher, he can come in and spell him for 25 snaps a game, 20 snaps a game. So we're not killing him like we did with Olivier Vernon and JPP playing 90%.
Exactly.
I think Roche fit right there perfectly.
And that's what Joel said too. Me and Joel watched this kid named Adrian Hutchinson from Michigan. And he's a monster. So we add him.
Oh, this kid is a monster. If we got him,
stand out on their defense. I got to be honest.
We add him next to Roche. And
man, this kid graded 92 in the pass, 88 in the run at Michigan.
Like I said,
what's his name again?
On their defense.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah,
Aiden Hutchinson. I got to look that up.
And there's a linebacker that he plays with, Ojuda. Something. OJ. This kid's a stud too.
Michigan has some prospects, man.
I got his stats up right here. He has 35 tackles, 6 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 20 solo tackles, 15 assisted tackles. He's he a big dude.
Yes.
265 pounds.
Yes.
He's listed as a defensive end.
Check
mean,
out that
wow.
Ojuda kid. I think his name is. It's
Yeah, this is
OJ
Hutchinson. Yeah.
OJ something. Check out his numbers.
That kid is he looks like a beast right now.
Yes.
The edge class this year is insane. But there's
Yeah.
so many edge rushers that we can just sneak, and then hopefully one of them will drop.
Let me see. What did you say his name was? OJ Okuda?
No, it's his last name is OJ something. It starts out Ojuda or something like that.
Let me see.
Michigan football roster. 20 University of Michigan Athletics. Football roster.
Yep, I see it here. Let's see.
Yeah, I gotta look that up.
Yeah, I'm looking him up right now. Trying to see. Moment. I'm like looking through their roster quickly.
David
Yeah, that's his
Ojabo.
name. That's it.
David
Yeah.
Ojabo.
That's it.
Ojabo. That's
Oh
it.
my god,
Yes.
this dude has 8 sacks as a linebacker.
Yes. This guy's a monster. He's a junior. 6'5",
6'5".
250.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If we can really pick up an inside linebacker that can cover,
This guy
we
can.
really need. If he can cover,
Watch Michigan football, man. Watch this kid.
I did watch the Michigan State game. I wasn't
That
too
was a
happy
good
with
game.
yeah, it was a good game. But I do watch Michigan, and they got they have a lot of talent.
Yes,
They have
they
a lot of
do.
talent.
But that kid, with him and Hutchinson, oh my God, they're just tearing these defenses
Yeah,
up.
they're just
Yeah.
those two combined are just like getting to the quarterback.
Oh
Like,
man.
I mean, as of right now, I mean, there's so much talent coming out, and
We always said we wanted that good thumper. I mean, 6'5", 250, that's a thumper right there. That's a
big
guy
boy
you're
right
not going to
there.
want to
If
run
we-
at.
if we
Yeah.
have a draft like this, we get Hutchinson and then we get Linderbaum. I'm good. I'm good for the rest. I'm sitting. I'm good.
well, I'll be honest with you. There's a good chance that depending on where we land in the draft, as of right now, I think we're at like 8 and 9 picking
Yeah.
it.
Currently, yes.
You got to look at what teams are going to be out there looking for a quarterback, because as of right now, you have
Oh.
Miami in the picture, Philadelphia in the picture, Houston
Washington?
maybe, and Washington.
So
So
you got Detroit might be looking for somebody to bring up too, because I
that's
don't think
true. That's
You know,
true. So,
Houston's taking a quarterback, so they're gonna.
Yeah.
but the problem is Philly can address two of those needs. They can pass on a quarterback to get that offensive lineman that I know they need, because they got 3 first-round picks next year.
That's why I'm
Mhm.
hoping Miami
Well,
just becomes good again.
With
So-
Miami winning last night, I'll tell you
That
what,
helps us.
that helps us big time, because they went from top 3 pick to like a 7th, 6th.
Yep. No, but I mean, as of right now, I gotta go. Usually, I take this time. I don't know.
So don't
Around
think,
this time.
Howie Roseman might trade up and look at one of them quarterbacks if
Yep.
Hurts.
That's true.
And then there's got one pick.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, like 3 first rounders, man. I mean, if it wasn't the Eagles, I'd be concerned. But considering it is the Eagles, I mean,
Right.
they've messed up that first round pick for quite some time. I mean, and at that point, you have to trade up to get Devonta Smith, and it's like I like Devonta Smith. Don't get me wrong, but I think I prefer Kadarius Toney, if I'm being real.
Yeah, but you can't say that if Devontae Smith wasn't there, everybody was screaming,
Oh, I
take
know, I
Devontae,
know.
take Devontae.
Yes.
I honestly wanted Rashad Slater.
I
That's
was
who
a
I wanted.
Parsons guy. So
I
feel
did
you.
too, but when they went up and took Devontae Smith, I said, Gettleman, please trade down. I did.
Yes, you're right about
trade
that. You're right.
down.
Trade down.
I want a
Yep.
future. And sure enough, and then in the second round, they're like, well, who do you want here? I'm like, trade down again. There's so much
They
talent
did.
on the board right now in the second round. And sure enough, they did. I think we got the Dolphins' 3rd round pick this year
Yep.
from that.
Yep, we do.
Yeah.
And
So-
that pick right now is the 67th pick at the moment.
Yes.
That's early, man. That's early in the third round.
Uh-huh.
Considering I think we have the 72nd at the moment.
That
That's
gives us
there's still
5 picks
talent.
in the top 75.
I
Five
mean,
picks.
if you cannot address at least edge, offensive line, maybe tapping into an inside linebacker,
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you. And I
a
hopefully
pure
that they,
center.
if Gettleman is part of this, I might as well just trade in my I might have to
Well,
trade in my
now,
Giants hat and probably
now,
pick up
well, now
a
wait a minute. Now wait a minute. Let's look at the last couple of drafts here with Gettleman and Judge. And I point this out. We all love the last two drafts. Now we
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
get a
good.
lineman, and we harp on that.
Mhm.
But you know what? We got injured real quick, real soon, because I'll tell you what, if Nick Gates was still the left guard, this would be a whole different offensive line. If Andrew Thomas had stayed healthy, this would be a whole different offensive line. And I think Pert would be starting over Solder now.
Yeah.
Or at least be in
Yeah.
guard, and maybe Hernandez wouldn't be there and acting like a rotary door.
Pretty much.
So let's, because the first and second round picks are the ones you have to hit on.
That's right.
Judge and Gettleman have hit quality players. Let's not forget Roche was a 5th round pick, but he's acting like a 1st round pick right now. We got him for free because the Giants watched the waiver wires.
Yep.
Oh no, he was a 6th round pick, matter of fact.
Oh, he was
I thought he was-
6.
I thought
Yeah,
he was
he
on
did
top
drop
6.
into the 6, didn't he?
Yep.
But if you look at the guys that we have, I mean, I show it right there. I'm a Daniel Jones supporter. I've loved him since the draft. I like the talent that he has, and I've seen it in the rebuilding process before. And this just reminds me of Phil Simms 2.0 with everything that's going on right now when I had to watch that.
I got a question for you about that though.
Okay.
I'm not old enough. I'm gonna let y'all talk.
Oh, come on now. You know what, Joe? I do remember Phil Simms. I will say that. I remember Phil Simms, definitely. The question I got for you, Joe, and Nate, Chris as well. I've seen a lot of. I mean, we've pretty much seen it. If you read up on Twitter, so much DJ hate. It's just
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
So much.
It's
He's not the
ridiculous.
franchise quarterback. He's not this. I'm like, look. In your honest opinion, if the offensive line was healthy, consistent, if the weapons were healthy, and maybe I even go out on a limb and say Jason Garrett was calling better plays.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Would
a
you
big
say
hindrance.
would you say you would be able to give a fair evaluation of DJ
I'm
based on
gonna
those three things?
I'll give you a fair assessment of DJ right now because he doesn't have that many turnovers. He's not fumbling the ball. Everybody has turnovers right now. Let's look at Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I mean, there's quarterbacks out there. Let's look at Aaron Rodgers the first week of football. He come out and laid a big egg against the Saints. Look,
Yeah.
these guys have bad games. But what I saw year 1 to year 2 is I still saw that spark. The kid's working his butt off in the offseason, gaining weight, doing whatever, getting guys together that are just signed so he can get some workouts in with them. And then year 3, the first game we go out and laid an egg. But if you look at week 2, Daniel Jones balled. Week 3, Daniel Jones improved even more. Andrew Thomas was setting that left side for him. Week 4, it got better. And then I looked at the Saints game when the offensive line was pass blocking, giving him protection, letting him set back there for 2 or 3 seconds. He was dynamite with the ball. Look how accurate he was last week. This kid, if you give him 2 to 3 seconds and a good running game, and we can get some play action passes called with Barkley back there or any running back, because when you're hitting that hole and getting 5 yards of carry, you bring in the play action pass. That's just a given, and every fan knows that. But we still weren't really doing the play action pass. We still weren't rolling him out. And a lot to that was that, Pert and Solder just could not contain those edge guys. Ngakwe and what's his name were just tearing them up. There was not much you're going to really do against that. What quarterback? I mean, let's look at Lamar Jackson last night as to what the Dolphins did.
Oh my
You're
God, that
looking at the
was
same scenario, right?
every third down they were getting blitzed. Every third down,
Right. And
and they knew it was coming.
Lamar had no answer.
Yep.
So let's, we just saw one of the most mobile quarterbacks get destroyed last night. And yet we're looking at Daniel Jones and saying, well, this and that, or he can't do this, or he can't do that. But he's getting the same pressure that Lamar got last night. And you know what? Strip sacks happen, man. I mean, these guys on the edges are the best pass rushers in the NFL. What's their job to do? You don't get $20 million if you're not out there producing. And all
That's true.
these edge guys are producing. They don't hit the quarterbacks no more. It's not about a sack. It's about a strip fumble. And Roche won us the game that way.
Yep.
So it's a different game. So, yeah, you know what? Watch what happens when Thomas comes back if he's healthy, because Daniel's going to have – and that's just one guy on the offensive line. If we get Linderbaum and we get this line settled to where we can actually move people a yard and score a touchdown instead of him rolling out and getting a concussion, I'm a firm believer Daniel Jones can be a top 10. I said Daniel was going to be a top 10 quarterback this year, and his numbers are not that far off. So imagine if he had a line and we were calling plays that were better schemed. Now, look, I get it. Okay, we're hollering at Garrett. Garrett can only work with what he has. And you know what?
That's
At
true.
least he stayed with the running game. At least he stayed on that track. We're getting 5-6 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry, 5 yards. We're getting 3rd and 1s, which opens up the whole playbook. Daniel didn't throw it deep, but he can't throw it deep. He's going to fumble the ball. He's going to get crushed because that's what happened on that 5 wide receiver set. The edge come off the ball, knew exactly what was. He just cocked his ears back and says, "Baby, I'm coming."
Yep.
Yep.
And
I
that's what
just
we're
want
going to
to
see on Big Pat's channel tonight. Please join us for that film review, because that's what we're all looking at right there. Is all that from the last game.
9 o'clock.
I
9 o'clock,
mean,
man.
my thing is when I looked at that game, and I think one of my biggest issues, even pretty much throughout the year, is the fact that we're giving. I've seen so much, like I said, so much hate towards
Mm-hmm.
DJ because he fumbles here, he throws this interception. I mean, look, granted, the Rams game was probably one of his worst games there.
Yes.
Okay, and he literally, besides, I won't even say the Dallas game. That Rams game, he literally tried to put the team on his back and willed to try to get something done. Now, granted, hey, mistakes happen, but he was airing that ball out, trying to get something done, which a lot of people are screaming about. Okay, we need to make more deep passes. Try
Right.
to well, that's that's the consequences when you have a bad offensive line and you just don't have the time to throw and go through your progressions at least the way you
Right.
should. Now, everybody says, oh, yeah, he's a one read quarterback. I wouldn't necessarily say you're a one read quarterback, and the only way you can be one is if your offensive line is literally not blocking. So you
Right.
can only go through one read.
Right. Because that's all the time you have.
Thank you. So it's
Yes.
either I try for that one read or I take the sack and, God forbid, a fumble.
Right.
So
He's throwing the ball away more.
yeah,
So,
he
so
is.
fellas,
He is.
his squad. Just want to say thank you for letting me
Yo,
into the
what's up,
chat.
YouTube?
What's good? What's good? So, I hear y'all argument, for Daniel Jones and everything like that. Me personally, I was on the bandwagon in his rookie season. He looked really good. Second year, he progressed a little, but not as much as these quarterbacks these days are actually progressing. And in year three, what we're seeing, this is from my eyes. What we're seeing is a quarterback that does just well enough to win a game. But the problem with that is that we don't have the team and or like I was talking about, the offensive line, our weapons are out. We don't have that necessary team that can be complimented for him. So in retrospect, he's not looking as good as he potentially can be.
Right.
But yeah, but But this is also what we're running into as well. This is his third year. Next year is going to be his fourth year. We had like next year is going to be exactly the same team. We're because we're going to be strapped for cash. We don't have a we're not going to have too much money on the salary cap. So this is going to be the team. We have a very injury prone team. So my question to you guys is: so seeing what he's doing in year three is not really producing into any wins. Going into year four, if these things still continue to happen, if this offensive line is not where it needs to be, if these weapons are still getting injured, what are you going to do with Daniel Jones? Because that's where the question is going to lie. Because he's not dynamic enough to uplift the
Well,
team. The team needs to be good enough for him to prosper.
I can answer that definitely.
Mhm.
Here's what we're going to do. Now, realistically, because we're looking at getting rookies, possibly 3 rookies on the offensive line. All right, if not 2 rookies and 1 experienced lineman, somebody been in the NFL for 3-4 years, free agent, right? We're going to have 5 guys again that have never played a snap. So everybody on that offensive line is going to probably never have played a snap together. That all, Pert and Gates are question marks. But I'm going into this right now where they're not going to start. We don't know. And we won't know until the beginning of next year. But as of right now, with that being the possibility, I'm going to go the Kirk Cousins route. I'm going to say, Daniel, we're building a team around you. I'm not going to offer you an extension year 4, but I'm going to pick up your 5th year. Okay. And then if we still have question marks after year 5, I'm going to draft the quarterback. I'm going to franchise tag him. I'm going to let my younger quarterback develop under him, and then I'm going to move on. But if after year 5, let's say we go to the NFC Championship game, I'm going to offer him $35-40 million a year. If we're winning 2 years, let's 2 years. If we're in the playoffs 2 years in a row, and we can get to the NFC Championship game, that second year, and develop players. But that's what I would do. Is I would franchise tag him.
Yeah, but this is still based off of relatively everybody around him being healthy, which that's we can see right now. Like I love everybody's optimism. If this offensive line was healthy, if the weapons was healthy, we'll be putting up more points. But at the end of the day, they're not. And this is the NFL. Everybody doesn't get that fair evaluation that you're trying to look for. Everybody doesn't have everything perfect on
Right.
the floor.
You're absolutely right.
On the field to make everything work. Now, when you was talking about Lamar Jackson earlier, and you were saying, everybody does have bad games, but Lamar Jackson's their whole offense is centered around the run, and they
Yep.
lost 6 running backs, but yet Lamar is finding ways to win the game. Even last year, with Joe Burrow had a terrible offensive line, he was finding ways to win games. Trevor Lawrence down there, he's literally has no offensive line, no weapons, a terrible head coach, and he's still finding some type of way to win the games. My issue with Jones is in year 3, and when things aren't perfect for him, when everybody is not out there on that field, he's not finding ways to win the game, regardless if it's Jason Garrett that you think it because he's too conservative, or Joe Judge that you think he's too conservative. He's not grabbing the bull by his horns and winning the game for us. Because there was multiple games he had opportunities to put us in better positions or either win the game, but he didn't do it. Now, the Saints game, he definitely did what we were looking for, but we've seen that multiple times from him where he flashes and he's like, this is how good he can really be. The problem is the consistency because he did that with the Saints, but he couldn't do nothing like that against Atlanta. He's able to do that against Washington, but then when it came to Denver or or um or even with the Panthers, when the defense really led the way, he didn't look too promising. He wasn't the guy to lead us to where we needed to get to. So, in my opinion, from me, that's why I'm saying I don't see him as being that guy because I've seen guys that are younger with just as bad offensive lines with just as bad talents finding ways to win games, and he's not doing that unless everything lines up pretty much perfectly for him. Or we're playing Washington because against Washington, he's just amazing against Washington regardless. Yeah, regardless of anything. If we played Washington 17 times, we'll probably be like 15-2.
I'll uh I'll say this because that's not the first time I've heard someone say he needs to have things perfect around him. There's no perfect situation right now in football on any of these teams. All the teams are struggling in some aspect or the other, whether it be defensively, offensively. Our situation is like it's threefold. You have a bad offensive line, riddled with injuries. You're
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, you have every game a wide receiver is going down or two wide receivers going down. So it's like that just compounds the issue. And then on top of that, you have, and I will say this, he is a bad offensive coordinator. Bad. Period. End the conversation, end the story.
Jason
He's
Garrett's
bad.
horrible.
Jason Garrett. Jason
Okay.
Garrett.
But I understand the reason why he coaches and calls the plays that he does is because one, they want to mitigate DJ's faults, his turnovers. They want to mitigate all of that. The reason why they ran so much in the Raiders game is because okay, 3 plays down, they were throwing it that first play, that first drive, they were throwing so much. Right
He got
after
killed.
that, what happened? They
He
barely
got
moved the
killed.
ball.
Yes.
Okay. The moment DJ got strip sacked, they pretty much stopped throwing that ball.
Yep.
All right. They do not want DJ committing turnovers. They don't want it because they know the moment we get behind, there is no way that this offense is going to be able to get those points back. There's no way. I mean, you can disagree with me or not, but the simple fact is this: this offense gets behind, there is no way it can really produce those points like it's supposed to. The Saints game was an outlier because everybody was there, everybody was healthy, and everybody was literally communicating and getting those
Yes.
plays in automatically. Everybody was working together.
Everything was clicking.
Yep.
Everything was clicking.
And
But
you know, let's also look at real quick, not to interrupt you, but you know what? We should be like 5-4 because we're at offsides and a couple of dropped interceptions away from having another 2 or 3
exactly,
wins. So,
exactly.
DJ's not the one dropping those interceptions.
I mean,
But that
Darius
yeah,
Slayton
even
dropped
though
two.
even though that is true, but I can still come back with the same joint as good teams find ways to win, bad teams find ways to
And
lose. We're a bad
you're
team. We're
yes, you're
literally
right.
inventing ways to lose. But but within those games, so we've had what 8 games? We've had 8 games already. How many of them where you can sit there and say, all right, Daniel Jones basically almost won us that
Well,
game? Two?
well, here's the biggest key though. These guys have not played winning football in 10 years. They don't know how
Yeah,
to win a game. They don't,
that's true.
you know, and it's not their fault. But we have no depth. We have no experience. We have nobody on the team that can say, "Look, we need to get back to winning. This is what it was like. This is what we have to do." That leadership is not on the team. That's all on the coach.
Look at Detroit. Okay, look at Detroit. Detroit's a perfect example. 0-8, 0-19, and yet their offensive line, I would honestly say the offensive line is probably better than ours.
Yeah.
And they have an exciting, innovative, imaginative offensive coordinator that is willing to have Jared Goff throw that ball down the field to make plays to try to get scores. If you look at the Giants compared to that, if we had that same mentality, if we even had, I mean, that offensive line. Give me that offensive line, even though the team's not good. Give me that offensive line.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Give me the
Yep.
Detroit Lions offensive line
Yep.
with Andrew Thomas. There's no way. I can't sit there and say that no way that we're not putting up points. We haven't put up 30 points in over 2 years. 30 points. We have not gone over that.
I mean, I also think that falls on Jason Garrett as well, to be
A
honest.
lot. You're right. A lot of it falls on Jason Garrett. So when everybody sits there and says that Daniel Jones has to have things perfect around him, I wouldn't necessarily say perfect. I would say, effective and competent.
Yeah.
Every quarterback needs that. You need a competent, effective offensive line to do what? Block, run block, so you can get the ball out and put points on the board. We don't really have that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna put Daniel Jones, obviously in that Aaron Rodgers conversation where Aaron Rodgers himself could take over a game with little to no talent on the field. I'm not. I can't do that with Daniel Jones, but I do think that if you could provide him with at least competent talent around him, Daniel could put the pieces together and go win you a game. I mean, obviously we lost to the Washington football team, but really that was a very impressive performance by Daniel Jones. Arm wise, leg wise, he can't catch the ball either. Because I mean, that to me personally, I know some Giants fans thought that he overthrew Darius Slayton. I personally thought that was a catchable ball.
It was. Oh, my bad. Yeah,
no,
but
no, no,
that
you're
was
good, you're good, you're good.
no, that was 100% catchable because I was actually at that game. At that,
Yeah.
in that end zone, that was 100% catchable.
And it's like if that gets hit, we're not talking about Dexter Lawrence jumping offside because then it wouldn't even matter,
Right.
But because I understand both sides. I do think that there are things he has to improve on. I get it, but I do also think that he's made improvements that we needed him to make going into this season. Granted, I get it. The fumbling is still there, but I don't think it's as bad as it's been. Within the recent years.
Yeah.
And credit. I got to give credit. To Jason Garrett. I got to give credit. I think Shaplinski, the QB's coach. I believe that's who it is.
Yeah, Shaplinski.
But I got to give credit there.
Well,
but
let's not look at real quick though. HitSquad about everyone wanted to fire Patrick Graham after 6 weeks.
Yeah, that I didn't understand. I mean, I understand, wanted to fire Jason Garrett, but I didn't understand the Patrick Graham.
I mean, the defense can't get the offensive ball. I mean, DJ can't do much sitting on the bench.
Yeah, but there are things that DJ has to fix. I got to be honest.
Yes, there is. I'm not giving him a free pass in no way, shape, or form.
No, me too.
Yeah,
me too. I'm not giving him no pass at all.
But I see potential.
Yeah, and like I said, I seen the potential there too, but it's not. He's good. I feel like he's good enough for another team. He's just not good enough for us.
And that's what.
Because he's not the quarterback that we need at this moment. Because now, everybody agrees, probably on this panel or just as fans, Jason Garrett is trash as an offensive coordinator. If we all agree on that, so nobody would shed a tear if Jason Garrett is fired.
Well,
but now let's think of Daniel Jones. Year 4, third, a number 3 system. He has to learn it all over again. And one of the problems that he's having is that he's not processing this information fast enough and reacting. And that's what we're seeing in Jason Garrett's offense, is that he's not processing the information fast enough and getting the ball out when it needs to be getting out. He's not climbing the pocket enough to avoid those edge rushes. So putting him into another system and hoping that it works, I don't think that's going to be the best. I don't think that's going to be the best thing for him. But also having Jason Garrett, I damn sure don't think that's going to be the best.
Listen, Jason Garrett has turned Daniel Jones into a one-read quarterback. Okay, and it's that simple, and we can prove it on film because there's a lot of times we have 5 wide receiver sets. Everyone goes out for a curl route. All right. Then there's other times we have 4 wide receiver sets and Daniel Jones doesn't have an outlet to a swing pass to a running back. There's a lot of plays like that. You know, you watch Daniel Jones when he goes through a progression, he's looking left, right, and over the middle, but these guys are not open. We're not talking about first round talent wide receivers. We're talking about Darius Slayton. We're talking about uh, Pettis. We're talking about, all these guys that were on the practice squad. These guys are on the practice squad and on the third strings for a reason, but because we're injured with our starters, that's that. And then everyone says, well, why didn't we target the starters last week? That's because we ran the friggin' ball. It's
DJ
like
was getting
Daniel
killed
Jones
out.
doesn't have that many touchdown passes. So that's what happens when you have a coach that wants to run the ball in.
Well, not only that, when you want to, when you have coaches, and I'll put Joe Judge into this as well, because Garrett has to get the okay from him to be able to call these plays and run the offense for that week.
One
You
hundred
can't
percent agree.
keep
Thank you for saying that.
you can't keep this grinded out game plan isn't going to me, it's not sustainable to
Right.
grind out these plays.
Right.
Grind out. I mean, these long plays, you're praying that the offensive line holds up. That's first and foremost. No turnovers.
Living on third down.
Exactly. Living on third down, which in all, I mean, again, this archaic, and I say it like that, archaic offensive scheme, this playbook that Jason Garrett has. This it didn't even really work when he was in Dallas.
Not the second half of his career.
No,
right.
It didn't really work. You
That's
have
why
to be able.
That's
You
why he
have to
gave
be
over
able.
play calling.
Exactly. You have to be able. This is now a passing league. We can all agree on that. This is now a passing league. This isn't the 80s where you can run the ball 100 times a game and the pass complemented the run.
Right.
Now the run complements the pass. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's why everybody's airing it out every chance they get. So a lot of this has to do with the offensive coordinators. I don't like it when people sit there and say, well, Justin Herbert's doing this, or who's the other guy? Mac Jones and everybody
different schemes.
These are all different schemes, different offensive coordinators who have a different mindset about what their team has and playing to their strengths. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Garrett is not playing to Daniel Jones's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He's playing to his weaknesses. His weaknesses is what? He's turnover prone. He's a one-read quarterback, as everybody says. He doesn't process. Again, if he has to have everything perfect around him, so be it. I think at some point, every quarterback wants that. Everybody wants that to be perfect around him, to where he can go out there and do his job, put the team on his back, and get his team a win. I see that we need to give that to DJ. His fourth year, that's the year that you'll be able to truly evaluate him. This year is an outlier because of injuries.
I mean,
that's the problem.
I got to
but now
agree with Joseph.
happen again next year.
Hey, look what DJ did against the Saints. I mean, that defense is good, man. Look what he did against the Saints, picked them apart.
He had his rookie season was way better for those limited games. And why was that? Different system.
Well, there was airing the ball around.
Yeah,
Pat Shermer's system was way different.
Yeah. Well, Pat Shermer was the one who handpicked them, and when the organization fired Pat Shermer, that had to be one of the stupidest things that they could have done. I mean, you let the guy draft the number 6 overall pick quarterback. He handpicks him, saying, "Hey, this guy can work with my system. I can do some wonders with him." Then you don't even give him 2 years with him. You give him 1 year and you fire him. Yeah, that was stupid from the beginning.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm there with you, man.
It was, but my God, Shermer sucked. I'm sorry, but my God.
I think defensively we were bad.
But I mean, he wasn't good. But if that was the case, and you knew that he was on the chopping block, why would you allow him to draft that quarterback? Like, why wouldn't you go another direction and
Could
say, "Hey, Pat, you need to show us what you're going to do before we allow you to bring
if
in your
if
quarterback?"
Pat
Because
Shermer had let Daniel Jones ride the bench for 10, 11 games and let him learn under Eli, I think you're looking at a completely different Daniel Jones,
Well,
just
true,
like Patrick Mahomes.
let me say
but that
something
but
about that.
that wasn't going to happen because when you're
Shermer
coaching
saved
Shermer,
his
for
job.
yeah, he
yeah,
was trying to
because you're
save his
trying to
job.
save the job. Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, he just got backed into a corner. But
Yep.
Hit Squad, yeah, fellas, it was great talking to y'all. Still
Yes,
gonna be
sir. Yes,
listening.
sir.
Gotta do
Hmm.
my family thing. But
No.
y'all
Yeah,
have a
we're
great live
we're
stream.
gonna yeah we're
Mhm.
gonna wrap it up at around 8 o'clock, so it's not a problem at all, my man.
All right, man. But thanks a lot for having me on. All
Yes,
right, I'm
sir.
Not a
out.
problem, man. Have
Yes,
a good one.
sir. Before we get into just talking a little bit more, I want to say shout out everybody in the chat. Jaden, Easy Three, Deception. We had Nate talks football come through. Mac the
Yep.
Giants fan, Joseph, D Mac. I mean, I appreciate everybody coming through, man, for real. I mean, we had Nate on here before. He disappeared a couple minutes ago. But no, I appreciate it, man. But yeah, no, I look, I do think that at some point you got to look at this offensive scheme and just say it's not working. I mean, it's
Right.
working. It worked against the Rams, but how many games are you going to win with that kind of a scheme? And I wanted to bring this back up right here. Where was it? Uh, it's right here. I 100% agree with this. I think that if we were to have a healthy offensive line, I really do think that we'd be airing this ball out a lot more. But we saw against the Raiders, there was no chance Daniel Jones had any chance of throwing the ball behind that offensive line. Yannick was in the backfield almost every play, it felt like.
Yep.
Max Crosby was getting back there. I mean, DJ would have gotten killed. And I really do think that if they wouldn't have switched running the ball, man, I mean, you want to talk about turnovers, man? I think that we would have saw
Yeah.
another fumble or two from
Yeah.
Daniel Jones just with how them two were getting off the ball. And does that happen with an Andrew Thomas on the field? I don't think as much. I think in that game alone, I don't see that happening. I don't think Daniel Jones has a fumble with Andrew Thomas on the field. And
D-
with the receivers we have, man, you got to air the ball out.
Yeah,
Even
but
with Saquon back.
when we watch that film tonight, you're going to see Nate Solder got an awful lot of help with chip blocks from the tight end and the running back coming out of the backfield. He was getting a
Booker
lot
had
of
a
help,
great game blocking. I can't
but
hold
he
you.
was still getting beat on the inside and outside and getting turned around. And
I mean, he was good in run block situations. He was
yes,
good in the run block. But
yeah,
what is that sitting there? What does that tell you? I mean, Perks blowing guys off the line because we were running the ball.
Yep.
yep,
But the moment we go a drop back pass, whether it be if it's a drop back pass, play action, or shotgun, you see what's happening. This is not something that nobody doesn't see happening. We see it. We see it every single game.
wow,
Yeah.
This is a
I'm there
no-brainer.
with you. I'm
So
there
when,
with you.
like I said, when I sit there and I hear guys sitting there and say, "Well, DJ isn't this, DJ isn't that," look, DJ he's not a lot of things. One, he's not Eli. Okay,
No,
he's not.
not at all.
He's more mobile than Eli ever was.
yeah,
Okay, more mobile. So that's a good plus in DJ. In his corner, that's a good plus. The kid's still young. He's still learning. I don't care what the Justin Herberts are doing or the Tuas or the Mac Jones. I don't care about that. My concern is can we literally just give this kid, him Saquon,
something.
Kadarius Tony, give them something
Mhm.
to where
Yes,
we can see these young guys succeed.
yes,
So we
I'm there
don't come
with you.
down hard and we're having to sit there and talk on these streams and tweet out, "Oh, DJ is not a franchise quarterback." You know what? He's not a
right.
franchise quarterback right now because we haven't given him the opportunity to. That's
Yep.
just a simple fact. And if
And
we
I
can all agree on that, then hey,
Mhm.
we're one step closer. At least we can say we're one step closer to at least coming to being on common ground where the Giants are concerned
Well,
where they're at now.
let me ask you this question coming off of that then. And it doesn't matter who's going to be the coach next year. I'm still looking at the Giants to be a 500 ball club next year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't say we're going to be a division contender because we're going to have so many young players on this offensive line. We still need an edge rusher that's going to have to take a year to learn. You know, Kadarius Toney, he's going to be getting better. Galladay's going to be getting better. We don't know who's going to be on this team next year. My God, we could be getting rid of 10 guys.
No, you're absolutely right. No,
You know,
Clark.
let's look at it. You know, Carter, Zimenez, is Martinez going to be here? Is Bradbury going to be here? We save a lot of money letting go Bradbury. You know, the punter's going to be gone. Hernandez, Solder. Are we keeping Shepard? Everyone says he's injury prone. Barkley's going to be coming up here real soon.
Yep.
You know, and then Jones is right behind him. I mean, this might look like a whole different freaking team.
I mean, I don't know. Tell me what y'all think about this, because I've seen it where, okay, you know what, we need to draft a quarterback next year. Honestly, I don't really see.
I do
that
know.
None of those quarterbacks are it. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying that they're not, but based off the play from what I've seen,
yes.
This year's quarterback draft class is somewhat better. Somewhat better. With you got some outliers. You got Corral, you got Pickett, you got Willis. But if those guys are particularly in a certain scheme for their college team, how is that going to transfer over to the NFL?
Right.
Just because he looks good in college doesn't necessarily mean he is going to strive in the NFL. He's learning one system. I read it somewhere that the reason why Philadelphia is not doing their offense is just pretty much stagnant. They're running an Oklahoma Sooner offense.
Yep.
Okay. Spread offense.
They're playing to Jalen's strengths.
Exactly.
Oh my God, we can go back to college quarterbacks that we thought were going to be good and were busts. I mean, you want to go Jeff George, you want to go Ryan Leaf, you want to go Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Exactly.
Johnny Manziel. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You know, that these guys, these experts are saying this is Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Josh Rosen.
Yep.
No. Oh, look, man, these guys, they really don't like saying anything bad about anybody. And I don't blame them. But, here we are on YouTube, 100 followers, maybe, 300, 400, whatever. And it's like, you know what? I think the guy stinks. I'm sorry. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We're not going to sugarcoat it, man. It's like, I just don't think this guy's going to be it.
And the thing is with, looking at DJ, I mean, look.
He's got such a great deep ball. He's got such heart. He wants to win. He does what he has to do to try to make a play. He overdoes it, makes a mistake. Everybody, when they overdo it, they make a mistake.
There you go.
Too aggressive. If you're too aggressive on the edge, you don't set the edge. The play goes around you, but you want to make a play.
Yep.
If you're an inside linebacker and you get swept up into the wash because you were too aggressive coming downhill and the gap closed on you and it went somewhere else, you wanted to make a play. I want those guys on my team, man. I want that guy that's out there. He's going to learn a spin move from Kadarius Toney and pick up a first down.
There you go.
Like DJ did. I mean, that was great. I love the kid's spirit. I love his heart.
Shit, Joe. Talk that shit.
Yeah.
Look, this kid is not out there. He's not Dwayne Haskins. He's not taking selfies. He's not missing tape. He's working out. He's trying his damnedest to become the best quarterback for the New York Giants that he possibly can. If he was over there slacking and not doing it or sticking around helping guys work out you know what? I wouldn't back the kid so much. But because he has such a work ethic and he's one of the few quarterbacks that you read about, Galladay just gets signed. Daniel Jones calls him a week later. They're throwing balls, They're getting some chemistry together. Didn't work out because of the offseason. Injuries killed us, so they're not there, so they still don't have that chemistry. Chemistry is probably the biggest thing in the NFL because it takes all 11. And we see that week in, week out.
And that's what we don't have right now is chemistry. That's the one thing this team is lacking as of right now because offseason, what happened? Galladay was hurt pretty much all of offseason.
Tony was.
Tony was as well. Saquon was hurt, but they were bringing him back slowly.
Wooly, yep.
Look at the offensive line. Lemieux had an issue in the preseason.
Pert had a back.
Pert had the back. It's like we couldn't catch any breaks. We could not catch any breaks. And then the moment that Andrew Thomas went down, it's like, you know what? This team went down.
Yep.
Because he showed what has been missing from this team for the last decade. An offensive lineman who can sit there and block that quarterback's blind side. Give him just a few extra
Rudolph
seconds.
was out.
Okay, Rudolph was out as well, but hey, I mean,
right?
You know what?
He made some great catches last week. So he might be slow as a turtle, but you know what? He caught the ball and got his yards.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
This right here too. We had two offensive linemen retired after the draft.
Yeah.
How many linemen have we gone through this year?
Quite a bit, man.
Wow.
Think about that. Really, guys. It's not like Gettleman and Judge aren't trying to get guys to come in here and know that this offensive line is bad. But what are you supposed to do at week 10?
There ain't much you can do. Not many players are going to be out there, or at least quality players out there.
And there was no quality players at the beginning of the season before week 1. Nobody's given up a star offensive lineman.
No, they're not. That's just a given. We're not. There's no team that's going to give up even a second string offensive lineman who can come in just in case one of their first string goes down. They're not going to trade that away either.
Right.
Billy Price, big guy, but the guy
played
played
well for the other team, and Sakura was a damn good player too for the Ravens. I don't know what happened.
But no, actually Price, he was on his way out.
Yeah, he was
Cincinnati. He was on his way out. Am I kind of glad that we at least kind of picked him up, because who knows what we could have had at the center position, because as of right now, he's the only option, and as much as nobody likes it, he's the only option, so we got to work with it. Who knows what's going to happen in the offseason, whether any of these guys are even going to be kept, because of the fact that they have been the consistent offensive line that is right now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know that. Just because you go out and you draft, Joe said it. You said it earlier. You go and draft, rookie offensive linemen. With the exception of maybe a handful of you're not going to just throw them to the wolves that quick, because you already know what's going to happen. Look at Andrew Thomas, his rookie season. Yeah, he played hurt, but everybody was saying, "Oh, he's a bust draft pick."
Yeah,
he's a rookie.
And we had to hear how the Jets got a better lineman and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a better lineman. And that was.
Yeah.
What's the tweet? Everybody said, "Oh, we should have drafted Tristan Wirfs." Okay.
Yes, and he's
Tristan
hurt.
Wirfs, but he's a right tackle, not a left tackle.
Yes.
We needed a left tackle.
A pure left tackle.
Exactly.
And we got one. We got the best.
Exactly.
One. He was top 5, guys.
I just, it just, like I said, it just bothers me. Whenever I sit there and I see certain things like that, it's like, okay, everybody's, you're entitled to your own opinion. I would never sit there and judge a person because of what your opinion is. I may or may not agree, but speak about facts. Speak about stuff that are facts. This offensive line could have been a lot better if we didn't sustain the injuries.
Yes.
This offense could be a little bit more explosive if we didn't have a lot of our weapons injured.
Yes.
We could have been a lot better if we had someone other than Jason Garrett calling plays.
And look, I wanted to say this real quick. Even if you do get a new offensive coordinator, keep some of the abbreviation the same. Keep some of it to where it's familiar for Daniel Jones. And ease him in that way. I don't think there'd be any issues with Daniel Jones learning another playbook if he had to, at a worst case scenario. Dude's a smart kid. He's a smart kid. He's there. Like I said, there's things he's got to improve on, but honestly, man, I think that there's a lot of teams out there that could use a Daniel Jones.
Yes, there
I just
is.
gotta say that. And is he the answer? I don't fully know yet. I think that he 100% could be our guy. I like what we're getting out of Daniel Jones due to the circumstance of what he's been through,
Well,
really. Because I can't think of many quarterbacks that would really succeed in what the New York Giants have provided Daniel Jones with, this season. Granted, they
well,
can't control injuries, but still,
let's look
you
at
know.
what happened to Aaron Rodgers the first year of that offense that he got into with what's his name?
LaFleur,
Huh?
Matt LaFleur, the
That
coach.
Matt LaFleur.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, let's look at what Aaron Rodgers did. It
Yeah,
took
I
him
mean,
took him a little bit of time.
Yeah.
that's Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly, but I'm trying to use the best
Yeah,
example
yeah,
possible
I know what
of
you're saying. Yeah.
somebody that's got a ton of experience and knows NFL football and knows game plans and books. Daniel Jones, he's going into his fourth year. Yeah, he's gone through two different offensive systems. Aaron Rodgers had only really gone through one,
Yep.
but he did have different offensive coordinators because he had McAdoo and then he had, oh God, I can't list all the other ones that he had, but they just, it might take Daniel some time to learn it. But then again, even if Garrett came back last year, we're still looking at a 500 ball team.
Yeah.
So it might not be a bad thing to get Daniel in his fourth year. I know Nate doesn't like this, but I'm just telling you how I would do it. Because if you franchise him, you know what? You get to it costs money. But if you draft a quarterback the following year, you franchise Daniel Jones 1 year, halfway through the year, you let your rookie start. If you can get a second, third, fourth round pick for Daniel Jones, because there's a team out there that's going to want him if he's playing halfway decent. And then you take that money that you paid Daniel Jones the next year because you got that cap space. The cap's going to be going up big time. It's not really going to be that expensive or that big of a cost.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you there, man.
that's the only reason why I would do it that way. And then in year 5, my God, what would happen if he took us to the Super Bowl and you drafted a quarterback?
Yep.
We're going to be the
Sweet.
laughing friggin' stock of the NFL once again. Everyone's going to call us the Eagles.
'Cause
You got rid of a
everybody's like
Super Bowl winning quarterback. And then he turns into, oh crap, what's the name? What's his name? Was on the Ravens and now he's on the Jets. The Eagles just traded him.
Flacco.
that.
Yeah, Joe Flacco. Let's say that Jones turns into Flacco because we kept a Super Bowl winning court. Gee. So there's the scenarios, guys.
Yeah.
Good, bad,
I'm
or
there with
indifferent.
you. I'm there with you. But look, guys, we gonna end it right there. It's been a good, awesome talk with you guys. I appreciate everyone, coming through. We got the chat going pretty active right now. I can't hold you.
Yep.
I didn't expect to see that many
Good
people
to
in the
see.
chat. So I really appreciate it. Giants community is number one. Joel, Nate, Ronnie, do y'all want to plug in, your social medias, your YouTubes?
Yes.
Plug in your stuff, man. I'm gonna give y'all the floor.
It's classified with Joel. I mean, I talk football. If it starts with an F, I like it. Fishing, fun, family, football. Friday nights. You're just having a good time, man. I just try to remind everybody with everything going on in the world. Sometimes you just got to step aside and take care of yourself. You got to treat yourself once in a while, and whether that's you get some people together and you have some good food. Doesn't take that much to throw some burgers or hot dogs and get people together for a Friday night bonfire. You know what? Even in the wintertime, it's kind of fun to do that on a nice crisp night. No wind blowing. It's 20 degrees outside. Your breath is frosty. You don't have to stay out there forever, but you just get a bigger fire. And I'd like to talk about, classified information, stuff that people don't talk about, whether it's football, whether it's fishing, trade secrets, I guess you could say. That's about basically what I like to do.
I like that.
I hear you there. Well, I don't have any content or anything. I enjoy hopping on with my buddy Chris, Joel, I met you a
Yes,
couple
sir.
streams ago, and Nate as well. You can follow me on Twitter at NYG4L_77. But I love talking about my team. That's pretty much what it is. I love talking about my team, and I'm I'm gonna be a Giant for life no matter what. Till I don't know, 80, 90 years old. I'm a Giant for life no matter what.
Sir.
So I'm always gonna be sitting there. I bleed blue. I got my red on right now for my Barkley
Hey,
jersey, but hey, it is what it is.
Hey.
But
hey,
you know what? I'm glad that we can come together. What I'm
Yes.
saying, talk about something that we all enjoy,
Yes, sir.
agree to disagree, respect each other's opinion,
yep,
but at the end of the day, we all Giants fans, and that's what all that matters. We support our team to the fullest. So
We all
yep.
want
thank
the
you there.
same thing in the end.
Yep.
Nate, you want to plug in your information?
Pretty simple. Just Nate Talk Sports. Just does I do everything. So Knicks, Giants, Yank, whatever. If
G Nation, Lou,
Yo, what's good, Lou?
Riggs, Riggs.
But yeah, no, continue, Nate. I apologize for that, man.
you're good. Just rants, whatever. And yeah, just have fun. That's what we have to do as Giants fans. To understand that we have business to do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And like I said, I really love the Giants community, G Nation. I mean, hey, I listen. I love the optimism. I'm there with you on that 11-6 train, man. I mean, I don't give a damn, man. I'm there with you. But look, everybody that's here, go over to Big Pat Sports page at 9 o'clock. It's gonna be a crazy live stream. If y'all haven't, there's gonna be some more New York Giants football. Y'all get to talk. So party don't end. Y'all head over there. I appreciate every single one of you, really stopping by, man, for real.
Oh man, thanks for having me on. I
No
do. I
problem there, Chris.
appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks, Chris.
sir.
Appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much, man.
Y'all be safe.
All right,
Yes.
All right.
Joel,
See
Nate.
ya.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.